Imagine standing in a Roman city so perfectly preserved that you can still see the grooves in the stone floor made by chariot wheels 2,000 years ago. You probably think I am talking about Italy, but this place is actually in North Africa, and almost nobody knows it even exists. Libya is the ultimate untouched frontier for travelers who are tired of crowded tourist traps and want a real adventure. In this video, I'm going to show you 20 mind-blowing things to do in a country that most people are too afraid to visit. We are going to explore lost cities, dive into desert lakes, and eat some of the best food you have never heard of. By the end of this, you will understand why this place is the best-kept secret in the entire world. Let us start our journey in the heart of the capital city at number 20, which is exploring the Medina of Tripoli. The Medina is a giant maze of narrow alleys and whitewashed walls that feels like you have stepped back into the 14th century. You can walk for hours through these tiny streets and find something new around every single corner. One minute, you are smelling fresh bread, and the next, you are in a street filled with people selling bright handmade rugs. It is not like the markets in other countries where everyone is shouting at you to buy something. The people here are genuinely curious to meet you and will often invite you in for a quick chat. Right next to the Medina is number 19 on our list, which is the Red Castle or Asiraya al-Hamra. This massive fortress sits right on the edge of the city and has overlooked the harbor for hundreds of years. It has seen everyone from the Romans to the Ottomans walk through its heavy wooden gates. Walking along the high walls gives you a perfect view of Martyrs Square, where the whole city comes to life at night. Inside the castle, you can find quiet courtyards and ancient statues that tell the story of a very long history. Just a short walk from the castle walls, you will find number 18, which is the Arch of Marcus Aurelius. This is the only Roman monument left standing in Tripoli, and it is made of solid white marble. It sits below the modern street level because the city has literally grown on top of history over the centuries. It is amazing to see people just drinking coffee at a nearby cafe, while this massive piece of history sits right there. Now, we are heading out of the city for number 17 to see the absolute crown jewel of Libya, which is Leptis Magna. This was once one of the most important cities in the Roman Empire, and it is almost impossible to describe how big it is. Imagine an entire city with theaters, markets, and giant baths, all carved from marble and limestone. Unlike the ruins in Europe, there are no ropes or fences here, and you can literally touch the history. You can sit on the stone seats of the theater and look out at the blue Mediterranean Sea, just like the Romans did. The Arch of Septimius Severus at the entrance is so tall, it makes you feel tiny as you walk under it. You could spend 3 full days here and still not see every single detail carved into the walls. If you like ruins, then you have to see number 16, which is the ancient theater of Sabratha. This amphitheater is famous for its 3-story backdrop that looks like a giant stone lace wall. It sits right on the coast, so you can hear the waves crashing against the shore while you walk through the pillars. In the late afternoon, the sun hits the stones and turns the whole place into a glowing orange masterpiece. It is one of the most photogenic spots in the world, but you will probably have the entire place to yourself. Continuing our history tour, we head east to number 15, which is the Greek city of Cyrene. People call this place the Athens of Africa because it was a massive center for Greek culture thousands of years ago. It is located in a very green and hilly part of the country that looks nothing like the desert you might expect. The Temple of Zeus here is actually larger than the one in Athens, which shows you how powerful this city was. Walking through the hills, you will see hundreds of ancient tombs carved directly into the sides of the mountains. For number 14, we are going to explore the nature of this region by hiking the Jebel Akhdar, or the Green Mountains. This area stays cool and lush all year round, and it is filled with thick forests and hidden waterfalls. You can go for a hike and see shepherds looking after their goats in fields of wildflowers. It is the perfect place to escape the heat of the coast and see a side of Libya that feels like the mountains of Italy. While you are in the east, you have to visit number 13, which is the rock-cut tombs of Apollonia. This was the old port for the city of Cyrene, and many of the ancient ruins are now actually underwater. You can stand on the edge of the cliffs and look down into the turquoise water to see old walls submerged below. It is a hauntingly beautiful place where the desert mountains meet the deep blue of the Mediterranean. Now we are heading back west to find number 12, which is a building that looks like something from a movie. Qasr al-Hajj is a giant circular fortified granary that was built hundreds of years ago to store olive oil and grain. From the outside, it looks like a massive stone castle, but inside it has hundreds of tiny rooms built into the walls. Each family in the village had their own room, and they used ladders to climb up and store their food. The architecture is so unique that it feels like you are walking around on a set from a space movie. For number 11, we are going deep into the Sahara Desert to visit the Pearl of the Desert, which is Ghadames. This is an ancient town where all the houses are painted white and the streets are completely covered to stay cool. The town is like a giant air-conditioned labyrinth where you can walk for miles without ever seeing the sun. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it is one of the most peaceful places you will ever experience in your life. Once the sun starts to set, you need to do number 10, which is having tea on the rooftops of Ghadames. The women of the town use the interconnected rooftops as their own private world to visit each other. Sitting up there with a glass of sweet mint tea while the desert sky turns purple is a feeling you will never forget. The white walls glow in the moonlight, and you can hear the call to prayer echoing across the dunes. Now it is time for some adrenaline. So for number 9, we are going 4R4 dune bashing. The Sahara in Libya has some of the biggest sand dunes on the planet, and driving over them is like a roller coaster. Local drivers are experts at sliding these heavy trucks down nearly vertical walls of soft sand. Your heart will be pounding as the truck tilts at crazy angles while you race across the empty desert. In the middle of these massive dunes, you will find number 8, which are the surreal Ubari Lakes. These are deep blue saltwater lakes that are surrounded by towering mountains of orange sand. The most famous one is called Gaborone, and it looks like a literal mirage when you first see it. The water is so salty that you can float on it effortlessly, just like you are in the Dead Sea. There are old abandoned mud brick villages right on the shore that make the whole scene look even more amazing. For number 7, you can grab a board and try sandboarding down these massive dunes. It is a lot harder than it looks to stay balanced, but sliding down the warm sand is an absolute blast. Even if you fall, it does not hurt because the sand is as soft as powdered sugar. After a long day of adventure, you have to do number 6, which is camping under the Milky Way. There is zero light pollution in the deep desert, so the stars look bright enough to touch. Sitting around a campfire, eating fresh bread baked in the sand, is the ultimate way to connect with nature. You will realize just how big the world is when you see thousands of stars stretching from horizon to horizon. For number 5, we are going to look at some of even older history in the Acacus Mountains. These mountains are filled with prehistoric rock art that is over 12,000 years old. You can see drawings of giraffes and elephants, which proves that the Sahara used to be a green savanna. It is like walking through a giant outdoor art gallery that was created by humans at the dawn of time. If you want to see something truly alien, then number 4 is a trip to the Wa and Namus volcanic crater. This is a massive black volcano in the middle of the desert, with 3 colorful lakes at the bottom. The sand all around the crater is pitch black because of the old ash, and it contrasts perfectly with the blue water. It is one of the most remote places on Earth, and very few travelers have ever stood on its rim. At number 3, we are going to experience traditional Tuareg hospitality in the town of Gate. The Tuareg are known as the blue people of the Sahara because of the indigo veils that the men wear. They have a very rich culture, and sitting through a 3-glass tea ceremony is a very important ritual. The first glass is bitter like life, the second is sweet like love, and the third is soft like death. The music they play on traditional instruments will make you want to stay in the desert forever. You cannot visit Libya without doing number 2, which is a full local food tour. You have to try bazin, which is a giant dome of dough served with a spicy meat and potato stew. It is a very social meal that people eat with their hands while sitting on the floor together. Another must-try is a sita. which is a sweet breakfast dish made with honey and butter that gives you energy for the day. The flavors are bold and spicy, and every meal feels like a celebration of the local culture. Finally, number 1 on our list is visiting the gold souks in Benghazi or Tripoli. The craftsmanship of the gold and silver jewelry here is world-class, and the designs are incredibly intricate. You can see people working on Berber silver pieces that have patterns passed down through generations. Even if you do not buy anything, just walking through the shining stalls is an experience for the senses. Now you might be wondering about the challenges of getting here, because Libya is not your typical vacation spot. The biggest problem right now is that the visa process can be a bit tricky and takes some planning. You cannot just show up at the airport and expect to get in without a pre-arranged tourist visa. The best way to handle this is to work with a local travel agency that can provide an invitation letter. These agencies are great because they also provide a guide who will help you navigate the country safely. Having a local fixer is actually a huge benefit because they know all the best spots that are not on any map. They can help you deal with the local currency, which is the Libyan dinar, and get you a local SIM card. The internet works well in the cities, but do not expect much of a signal when you are deep in the dunes. You also need to keep an eye on the current travel climate because things can change quickly in this region. However, the reality on the ground is often very different from what you see on the news. The Libyan people are some of the most welcoming and kind people you will ever meet in your travels. They are genuinely happy to see tourists again, and they will often go out of their way to help you. The best time to plan your visit is during the winter months from October to March. The desert heat in the summer can be dangerous, so the cooler months are much better for exploring. If you go in the winter, the days are sunny and warm, while the nights in the desert are crisp and cool. Libya is a country that challenges everything you think you know about the world. It is a place where you can find complete silence in the desert and vibrant life in the ancient cities. It is not an easy trip, but the rewards for those who make the effort are absolutely massive. You will see things that very few people in your life will ever get to see with their own eyes. From the marble streets of Leptis Magna to the black sands of a hidden volcano, Libya is a true adventure. It is a place that stays in your heart long after you have cleaned the sand out of your shoes. If you are looking for the last great untouched travel destination, this is definitely it. If this guide made you want to pack your bags and head to North Africa, then make sure to subscribe. Go watch our next video on the hidden gems of the Mediterranean right now.